Hello, and welcome back yet again to the third season of Empowering Moments with yours truly, Dr. Frankie Bell. I am so excited that you allow me to continue to come into your homes, because without you, this show, it would not be a show. So thank you so very much. Again, we want to tell you a couple things that we coming your way. We have 2 books that'll soon be released. One is called The Companion for Choose to Win. And thank you so much for the support of Choose to Win. It has been amazing. We're going to do Leaders Shift. We all know if you're in the kingdom, there must be some shifting. And my favorite, The Bell Factor. Finally, I've been trying to get this book out for years because it's personal to me. And Bell, of course, is my name, and it's going to motivate you to do what you need to do. Now, on to while we're here. I'm so excited to yet again to bring you such a special person. Every time we enter your home, we try to bring people that will be life-changing for you. And I promise you, this person will not disappoint. We will introduce to you my friend, none other than Miss Katie Prather Basden. So honored to have you here today, Katie. I love you so much. Always have for years. So thank you for taking this opportunity to join us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you're still as pretty as I remember in high school.
Sweet.
I remember meeting you when I was in high school and just looking up to you. You were such a poised young person, such a person who did so many things to empower young people like me. Like, you didn't know this. When I was growing up, I had such a hard time. And to come to school and have people that you could look up to and that would be a mentor for you, it's just awesome. So I thank you for that. I don't think I've ever publicly told you that, so I appreciate you. But I know I've told you publicly that I had a crush on your brother Clyde. I know he didn't know I existed. He was a senior, big football star, and I used to watch him. And I was in higher level maths and sciences, so I used to be on the same hall he was, probably not the same classes. And I used to be just like, he is just the boy. He didn't even know I was in the world. He probably said, hey, child.
I love it.
But so honored to have you. You have so many things going on. Your family, your husband is a doctor.
Yes.
And what practice does he practice?
He owns Basden Eye Care.
Okay.
He's an eye doctor. He has 2 locations in Auburn.
Oh, wow. And your parents are beautiful, beautiful people. And your sister Joanne, I remember watching us all grow up. Auburn is such a special place.
It is.
You've had such great pain. You're a big Auburn fan too, like myself, right?
Very.
War Eagle has to be said on camera so
Yes.
people will know there's no confusion here.
No.
So honored to have you, for you to invite us in your home. We're in Dadeville, Alabama. This is your, what do you call this? Your getaway home?
Yes, this is our lake house, but right now it's our real house while we're rebuilding in Auburn. So
yeah. So I wanted to interview you because I watch you, of course, on social media. Besides knowing you growing up, admiring you, I have gotten a new profound admiration for you, watching you with your children. Like, some of the things that I'm like, wow, I have 2 kids. You have 3 beautiful, 2 girls and a boy. What are your babies' names?
Brittany Ann is the oldest.
Yes.
Callie is my middle, and Bradley is the baby.
And I know you've been told this several times, but that Callie is like your twin. Like, when you see her, I'm like, that's the old Katie. And so, but to the oldest, what's her name again?
Brittany Ann.
Brittany Ann. And everyone knows your baby boy.
Yeah.
Like, he is a social media phenom. Like, everybody knows Bradley. He's this thumbs up guy. So, always so friendly and such a smile. But what we want people to understand is you have 3 babies. Been married to your sweet husband for how long?
30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
People nowadays jumping ship after 30 minutes. So
I know.
I understand how wonderful of a blessing that is. So tell me a little bit about what Katie is doing right now, because we're going to start talking about your kids. And just like most moms, I don't want you to forget about you, because we will forget about us when we get to talk about our kids.
Yes.
We don't exist.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, what's going on with you now? What are the things that you're doing?
Right now I'm actually planning a wedding for child number 2.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
That is something.
That is something, and we're building a house, but what I love to spend my time doing is, along with 2 other women, I started a foundation 2 years ago called the Eagles Foundation. Wow. And my son has the honor and privilege of being one of the first Eagles students at Auburn University. It is a program for students with intellectual disabilities to have a college experience where they learn independent living skills and job skills so they can live on their own after college. So Auburn did not have that program until the year my son graduated from high school, and that's a God story in itself.
Right.
So he was one of the first students, and what I realized when he was accepted to the program and we saw the cost of the program, we realized, okay, this is going to be very hard for us to do, and my husband has had a very successful practice, and we have been very blessed. But what hit me is there are so many people that this couldn't even be an option.
Wow.
And their special needs child deserves this opportunity just as much as mine.
Wow.
And I didn't want it to be a situation where it would be only for the wealthy people who, had special needs children who could come up with the money to pay for it. So I joined with Denise Sloop and Sarah Newton to start the foundation. And so our sole purpose is to raise money for scholarships for students to come to the program and not put the financial burden on their families. So we've been working for a couple of years and we've raised a lot of money. We've been able to do scholarships now for 2 years. We're doing partial scholarships right now, but we're also putting money into an endowment. So our ultimate goal is to be able to pay the program fee for every student that ever comes for generations through the interest of the endowment.
Wow. I just want to piggyback on something you said. I don't want this to be a program just for the wealthy. I realize how tough it is for my husband who has a successful business.
Right.
This is why I wanted to interview you. A lot of people, and a lot of people may know you because Auburn is a small town. They remember, and back then, I guess parents with good parents don't share any burdens with their kids. So people like me would only see you as a successful young person who had great parents, who had nice homes, who worried about nothing. So that's what we would see. And so a lot of people may think that things were just so easy for you. Like, you're Katie Prather, and I know you're married, but that's how people identify you. And so when you have this cause, when that's what I call it, what brought this about? Your oldest baby and your youngest baby, there was something when you got pregnant and started having them. What did you notice right away?
Well, we realized when our oldest was 9 months old that she had liver failure. And so doctors started doing tests and ultimately we did genetic testing. And she had a very rare genetic defect. It didn't have a name till about 6 years ago. We wanted it to be named the Basden whatever because we realized there's only 3 known cases in the world and we're 2 out of the 3. But anyway, she had that. I was pregnant with my second when we realized it was something genetic. And then when I had Bradley, my husband and I joked that the odds are against us because 2 out of 3 ended up having it, but they're the greatest blessings in our life. So anyway, we've had challenges. I've spent the majority of the time that I've had kids managing their health care and managing their helping them. They have always needed extra help in school and even just physically getting around. But I consider it a joy and a privilege because they are the joy of my life. And so I'm grateful that I was chosen to be their mom.
Well, we were talking off camera and you said something that was so profound to me, and you talked about your faith. This year on the season of this show, I know God is going to connect me with people who are truly, truly active in their faith. Now, what role did your faith have to play in you, a successful cheerleader, beautiful young lady? Everybody knows you, small town, you decided to stay in your small town where you're well known, where you were a cheerleader at Auburn University, and you were this, I guess, your own superstar in your own right. And I know you don't say that, but I'm just being honest with you about the perception of people.
Right.
How did your faith play a role? Like, when these are your babies, your blessing, how did you get the strength to say, God, because I'm sure at all times in the beginning, we don't just come out and say, God, I thank you. Like I remember now, I tell God, I had to get hit by the car. But when it first happened, I wasn't sitting there going, praise Jesus.
Exactly.
So tell me, how did you come into this place of knowing that you're the one who's grateful to be their mom? And there has to be a process. Tell us about that.
Right. And it's funny, I was sharing with somebody the other day, up until the point when I had my first child, things had gone my way. I mean, things that I would try out for, I would get. And I have always been a Christian, but in my own strength, I was able to do a lot of things.
Right.
And so when I found myself, it was Christmas Eve, my baby's first Christmas Eve, and it was going to be the perfect first Christmas, presents under the tree, outfits ready for her, bows to match.
Yep.
And when I found myself in the back seat of the car next to the carrier on the way to Children's Hospital, because she had left our hospital at East Alabama Medical Center and had to be admitted to Children's, and I realized then, you know what, Lord, this is something I can't control.
Wow.
And I can't make it turn out a certain way because of any ability or gift you gave me. And that was a turning point in my life. And I realized, okay, he's in control and he's the only one that I can depend on. And so it started my faith journey on a trajectory that I can't even comprehend. But through each trial, whether it was trial with my first child, trial with my first and third child, trial with my marriage, any trial that's happened, I realized that my faith is in Jesus. He's going to strengthen me, and he's going to get me through these times that seem out of control at the time.
It's amazing that you say that. I was used to adversity. I was used to things not going my way.
Right.
So I've always fought. But I think sometimes we can sit in the back of the room and judge people just because, things happen their way, that they don't have trials.
Right.
And our Jesus know us a lot. Like, we may even think God is closer to me because I've had to call on him a lot more.
So much.
But that's not how he works, honey.
Right.
He's there every time. But again, you were talking about every trial that you've gone through, and I even share this with people. Trial with my children, trial with my marriage. My trials with my children may not be at the hospital all the time, but I can remember there are times when I just didn't know how I would be running, because that's my thing. I like to run. And I'd be like, Lord, you're going to have to help me, because first of all, sometimes I don't want to help myself.
Right.
Sometimes we'd like to be in that place where we can have a moment to say, God, you allowed this to happen to me. I'm a good servant. I go to church. We can always remind God of the things we do for him and how dare this happen to me, and how dare it be public.
Right.
How dare that the things that my children take me through are the things that I go through with my marriage. How dare you keep everybody else's secret but mine? And so there are some people who are watching this, and they know your family, and they've watched your son, and kudos to him for being a graduate. Kudos for him for doing things, and thankful for your husband. Yes. How did he, as a father for his first boy, and I know he was expecting it. They get excited about them boys.
Yes.
So tell me about his faith. What did it do for him?
Well, he obviously was excited when the third one was a boy, even though he loves his daughters.
Right.
But it's interesting how our life evolved, having a son with special needs. Because in your mind, he and I were both athletes growing up.
Right.
We were baseball, softball. He was a wrestler in high school, and
you had it all planned out in your mind.
You have it all planned out, and you think, our kids are all going to be athletes too. We're going to live at the ballpark. This is what it's going to be. And we thought that's what we wanted. We thought that was going to be the ideal life. Right. That's what we wanted. And as we realized our kids weren't going to be able to do some of the things we did, it was interesting. I think at first it was hard,
right,
but then he has realized what a fulfilled life we have with our son Bradley.
Yeah.
And I just had somebody tell me yesterday, somebody that works with him at Auburn University, they said, I've never met a student who is like Bradley, who has never had a bad day. He always has a smile on his face. No matter what he has to do, okay, he's ready, he's happy. And so he changed our life, and we realized the things that we do with him now and the time we spend with him now is so much more valuable than watching him play on a ball field. And I'm thrilled for people whose children, that is their route in life, but it wasn't our route, and we wouldn't trade it for the world, because we have had more family time together. We spend so much more time together than maybe most families do, especially now, that our kids are older. But they still, live at home, or Bradley's living, in an apartment right now.
How exciting.
But we wouldn't trade that for the world.
Well, it's funny you say that. Devin was, who's my son, my baby, said last night or night before, maybe Friday night, he said, Mom, that travel ball was quite expensive. Mm-hmm. And at the time, we were not, and I know you're not sending the message, because our son was an athlete, and his dad wasn't. I was a cheerleader. I always tell people when it was a sport, right. And we worked hard.
We did.
And so I wanted that for my children as well. So I get that, and I definitely don't hear you saying that your life is better than people who know. What you're saying is, for you, y'all spend a lot of time. You know what it takes to be a parent who has kids who are athletic, because your parents had to do it.
Right.
And not that your parents didn't love you and didn't spend time with you. However, you're noticing that there are some things that you get to see in your children because you have to look.
Right.
That I always tell people, maybe we got away with a couple things because our parents were too busy.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yes, so you got your Bradley's doing well. He's staying in his apartment.
Yes, he lives in an apartment.
Do they both drive?
They don't, they don't yet. Brittany Ann just got her driver's license last week.
Wow.
They actually are. Bradley's in the process of being trained, but due to their physical limitations, they have been trained to drive with hand controls.
Gotcha.
And so she just got her license, and so we got to work on getting a car with the hand controls and stuff. Right. So that's the next step. And then Bradley's working on his permit, and then he'll do the driver's training. But they don't. But Bradley, it's a great story. When he was in high school, we didn't know what his next step would be, because we knew he couldn't be accepted to college traditionally.
Right.
And then the Eagles program came about, but we just we wanted more for him. And through that program, we thought he'd live at home forever. He'd be on our couch playing video games, and finding some type of job that might not have been meaningful, but something. And now he lives in an apartment. He is working 2 jobs, like an internship and another job right now, being trained for what he might do when he finishes. And it's just a miracle. That program came, he's a part of it, and it's changed his life, which has changed our life in turn.
It is so, I always tell people life is so unpredictable. And it's such a blessing to hear you talk about how God, and I think we're, in this season anyway, we're just missing out on so many things. Right. Social media is taking over families. I'm fasting this month from social media, and I've done it for years, and it was just be so aggravated. Couldn't wait to get back on. But I have to be honest with you. My husband and I were doing it together. We're fasting off social media. People text me, I've missed some things, but I don't miss it. I'm able to have, it forces me to have a conversation with my husband. It forces me to have a conversation with my son, which he may not like all the time. He may wish I could be on social media. It forces me to notice some things about my 2 grandbabies who I am. You want to talk about joy? There is no, they used to say, people used to say all the time, your parents love the grandkids way more than they love you. And I know I love my kids, but I think the grandkids give you an opportunity to do it over. And now that your daughter's getting married, you'll be able to come back and tell me how that feels. But I love the Eagles program. I love you and the women that got together that want to do it for other families. I love that your husband, who's my young lady who works the camera for me, that's her eye doctor. I just love what you have taking with what people thought you were and maybe what you thought you were. Talk about that. Let's talk about how you've changed from the Katie that you thought you would be here.
Okay. Well, I was a perfectionist. Thought I was in control of everything and wanted to be in control of everything. And I think with my children's health and with other things that have come my way, I've realized that God has such a better plan and a bigger plan. I'm a planner. Like, that's one of the gifts He's given me, and I can plan things and dream things and be creative about things. But what He's done in our family's life, once I've let Him take control and just listen to Him, it sure does take the pressure off of you.
Doesn't it? Can't you just tell God, look, you go handle that, because this is supposed to be you. I think it was so amazing to me, and why I really, I watch you on social media. I heard you speak before. You to the story. Is it Storytellers?
Storytellers.
You shared a wonderful story about overcoming obstacles and things that you were able to do. But look at how fulfilled God. You not only you parent your babies, you look at big visions for them, you offer scholarships, you minister to people who are going through different challenges. Women look up to you and look out to you because that's what we need. We need a safety net. You know, I'm able to share with you some personal things because you were open and honest with me, and I think people watching this show need to understand you got to find, and my professor, Dr. Lisa Kinsler, who I just love and adore, she told me you need a safe place. And look how you have become a safe place for so many people.
Well, I think when you've gone through things and the Lord has led you through things, people want to know somebody's been through this before. How'd you survive? You know, can you give me some advice? And so I'm thrilled when people come to me, you know, if they have special needs children or if they've maybe had some challenges in their marriage. I just want them to know we've been there, you know, and you can make it through with God. Only with God.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that. But I want to say this too. I have found, and I shared with you off camera, that there's a part of the ceremony when the ceremony when you get married, of course for rich or for poor, but there's for better, for worse. And God, I was telling you, God didn't just put that there because He was out of words.
Right.
He put that there because He wants you to follow His plan. And I have found that we think, oh, people want us to fail, they want us to go. No, I don't think that. I think, first of all, there are more people that are rooting for us than Satan wants us to believe.
Right.
People don't want marriages to break up. People don't. You got that small percentage of people who are just being led by Satan, and we can't focus on them anyway.
Right.
But for the majority, I found that when you reach out to people, they want you to make it. They want your children to do well. Yes. They love to hear your stories, but Satan has us so bound that we don't even share how good our God is. Right. We keep it up. Like first thing I noticed when I walked in here was how this beautiful home you and your husband has built. And by the grace of God, He's been able to sustain your husband. You talked about having to stay at home with your kids. Imagine marrying a school teacher, God forbid, and one of y'all have to stay at home. And that means that we need to raise the pay of the teachers. Yes. And just putting that out there. Just imagine the strain it would have been on that family. God knew when you met your husband. Where did y'all meet?
We met at Auburn. We met... he's 2 years older and he was already a cheerleader at Auburn. And back in our day, you had to find a partner to try out with you. They didn't like draw out of the hat.
Right.
And so I had a friend in my sorority who was dating a cheerleader, and she knew I wanted to try out. And she said, well, I've got this guy I know. I'll let you meet him on the Coliseum floor. And he said he'd try out with you. And that's who it was.
Wow. And it was.
And so he tried out with me. We both made it, and the rest is history.
And thank God it's a good history.
It's a good history.
You have such, and definitely before we sign off, we're going to allow you to tell people where they can donate to your fund, your scholarship fund, because that is the best thing. I'm a giver, and I believe into sowing into things that are so. My husband, Bell Transport, will love to support and give you all a donation, because I believe in your cause. I believe in what you've become. I believe in what you stand for. I'm standing here, I'm telling you, I know it's hard to believe, you're just such a great person in high school. And everybody is not nice in high school to people who didn't have what you have. The world needs to understand that you were nice to me, even though we came from two different worlds. You would always speak to me. You was always polite.
I loved you.
I know.
You helped entertain me.
All right. Quite the entertainer I was. Still is, if you ask my husband. But you were just so nice. And I think these young people need to understand, here I am, older than 30, or 40, don't worry about how old, and still remembering how nice you were. So of course God thought that your babies had to go. See, I never thought about it till now. You were the gift from God to them. He had to give it to someone that would just be so unconditionally loving. You spoke to everybody, so why not? It's just like that scripture in the Bible said, have you considered my servant Job? I'm pretty sure Jesus was like, have you considered my servant Katie?
No.
And I know it's not to boast. It's just that your love for Jesus resonates right here on this couch. It is such an amazing honor to be in front of somebody who loves the Lord like you do in this season. And I'm so grateful. So before we sign off, please, please, please tell everybody where we can donate to your foundation.
Okay. You can go to theeaglesfoundation.org, and it will have information about our foundation, pictures of the kids, and it'll show you there's a donate button. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Please, I'm so excited. So we are just honored. We are so proud of your family. We got a wedding. What's the date? When are we getting?
June 25th.
Ooh, that's coming up.
I know.
Has she said yes to the dress yet?
She said yes to the dress.
She said yes to the. So how's Dad with that?
You know, Dad keeps saying, now I can change my mind. And I'm like, no, you can't.
Can't change it yet.
We love her fiance, so we're thrilled.
We're thrilled. But your other two babies' driver's license, look at how God has evolved the patience. To be patient. You have to be patient to be able for your kids to thrive the way that they have. And I know your husband is proud of you. I know your kids are just grateful for you. And I'm thankful for God letting you be the hands and feet of Jesus. You keep doing what you're doing. Somebody's watching everywhere. So thank you all for tuning in. Did I not tell you what a wonderful guest she is? I love Miss Kate. And it's hard for me not to say Katie Prather. I used to be a little girl saying Katie Prather, but Dr. Basden's wife. We got to make sure we let everybody know she's spoken for. I know she's cute, but don't be writing in talking about where she at. Thank you again for watching. It has been an honor to come into your homes yet once again. And remember, just like Katie said, she spoke it with so many other words. There is always decisions out there. And when you're hit with a decision and you have to decide to win, you make that decision and you know what to choose. Choose to win. See you next time. Thank you, guys.
It's interesting how our life evolved having a son with special needs.
A lot of people may think that things were just so easy for them.
It's amazing how God kind of just sits back and says, I'm going to throw y'all a curveball and we're going to see how you do and how you respond.
When God planted the seed and He gave the vision that I'm on the right path.
I didn't think I was a good mom at all. Because somebody kind of did it for me and made sure I did this and took the right steps. So when it came time to me to be a mom, I didn't know how to do that.
Well, now I've got to the point I don't try to prove to people who I am. I'm who I am. I know who I am.